right, ladies and gents, this is your favorite host. I always say that, by the way, but I'm sure some of you guys out there probably like Craven better. Some of you might like LJ better, but I'll always say I'm your favorite. But I'm actually doing this podcast today because I wanted to give you guys the update on the war, on the deal. I also wanted to just kind of let you know I'm going to go over the price of barrel while we're here. I'm also going to go over if what Iran is asking for, is that part of is it breaking any kind of international law? Do we have a reason to be over there just based off what we're saying or not? So the reason why I find this important is because the whole war started because, well, there's varying points of view. Tim Pool seems to think that we're trying to secure the trade routes, we're trying to secure the oceans, and by doing so, we would be forcing everybody to use the American dollar, thus securing petroleum being purchased by our money, which is securing the value of our dollar. So it'd be securing America's future as far as finances are concerned. I don't know if that's really the case. I know he was pushing for Greenland. Maybe these are the reasons why he has been doing some of the things he's been doing. I don't find that to be 100% plausible, but there are pieces of information that I don't have access to. And that's just the truth. All of us are speculating. All of us are just thinking, we're just coming up with theories as to what's going on. We're using what little bit of facts that they are leaking or that we are able to get our hands on, and we're formulating a theory. So one of the things, as you guys know, when Joe Kent resignated, he clearly blamed the Israelis for doing this. And a lot of people have a theory that it's because of Israel that we're there. Others believe we're there due to weapons of mass destruction. They always yell weapons of mass destruction when it comes to the Middle East. But okay, let's just say it's a plausible argument and let's just move on from there. All right. Now the question is how long are we going to be there? How long are we going to allow the Straits of Hormuz to be closed or to have limit access? And is what America is doing, is the fact of if it was nuclear weapons related, do we have a right to be over there, seeing as we have no evidence other than they were enriching uranium to even do any sort of nuclear weapon? Now, Steven Crowder makes a perfectly good point. At the percentage of uranium that they're at, there's been no country that has gotten to that level that has not created a nuclear weapon. So maybe we can use that, but did we see any signs of them breaking the international law? Well, it's time for us to really take a look, because Trump has stated that we're there because they cannot have a nuclear weapon. And people have been bringing this up. They've been saying that for like the last 25 years. And it's not making any sense. So let's just look at it, right? So I always like to update us on the price of barrel. As of right now, the two different prices of barrel are $93.01, $95.95. So, it's actually not bad. It's kind of been in that area. I'd say give it some time though. If this war continues, the pricing of that barrel is probably going to go higher. It is an unfortunate reality, guys. You have to remember that, it sucks, but we rely a lot on our global economy as well. America doesn't produce a bunch of stuff like it used to. So to a degree, we are going to be we are going to be affected by what's going on in the rest of the world, and a lot of the world relies on the Straits of Hormuz. So we will be affected. We will be affected by this. Now, the thing that probably has saved us, and I'd probably say it's definitely saved us to a degree, it's the fact that we took over Venezuela and we have access now to their oil. If it wasn't for that, then our gas prices would most assuredly be a lot higher than that. Now, I know they released, I believe it was stated 400 something million barrels. Whenever that goes closer to 100 to 120, I know Trump starts to worry. So he does what he has to try to keep it around that area. Because remember, he still has midterms coming. And I think even though he has dropped the ball in a lot of ways, I know that in his mind, he's not stupid enough to completely not think that he has midterms coming. So he has to at least maintain certain things within our country to even have a shot. Right now, I don't believe he does. He's been attacking everybody that was loyal to him, everybody that, did what they could to get him there. I mean, I think he's actually, betrayed what Charlie Kirk stood for. But you know what? At the end of the day, he has to live with his decisions. I don't necessarily think he's been a bad president, but I do think he hasn't been the president that he claimed that he would be. And that's a different story. But let's try to stay on topic. I always like to just give people the pricing of barrel. As you can see, not much has changed. So it's not I don't think we're doing bad at all. But let's keep going. So the next thing on our list is I wanted to see, because I've heard people talk about Iran has the right to enrich uranium, and I never understood why they kept saying that. I didn't know if that was true or not. I wanted to look it up. So under the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty, Iran has a recognized legal right to enrich uranium for peaceful purposes, but this right is conditional and subject to international safeguards. So according to this, they do have the right. Okay. It is a NPT treaty. And so they're not in the wrong. At least as of right now, there's nothing being shown that they were in the wrong. America just saw the 60% enrichment of uranium and bam, okay, red signs. We don't like this. We're going to go in. And here's the thing. When you have international law, if they're within the law, then we really shouldn't have been getting involved, or at least if we're going to jump in, we can't really be saying that it's because of a nuclear weapon, because once again, to my understanding, there's been no signs that they're weaponizing it. So, and weaponizing uranium is not easy to do. That is not easy to do. That's one of the reasons why the NPT treaty, I would have to assume one of the reasons why they don't mind countries enriching uranium is because in order to, create a nuclear weapon using the enrichment of uranium, that is not easy. It's not like an overnight project. Okay, they're at 70, 80%. They can just create a nuclear weapon. It doesn't work that way. That takes time. But let's just keep going. So Iran is a signatory of the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty, which grants all member states the inalienable right to develop nuclear energy for peaceful purposes, including research, production, and use of nuclear technology. This includes uranium enrichment for civilian applications such as energy production and medical isotopes. The NPT explicitly forbids non-nuclear weapon states from developing nuclear weapons, and all nuclear activities must be conducted under International Atomic Energy Agency safeguards to ensure they remain peacefully. Okay, so that seems fair to me. That's completely understandable. Countries that don't have nuclear weapons, we're trying not to have more and more countries with nuclear weapons. I can understand it. So let's see what's going on here, because there's a little more here. I don't need to go over everything. At least I don't think I do. But let's go over Iran's position. So Iran asserts that its uranium enrichment program is solely for peaceful purposes, including energy production and medical applications, and that it has the sovereign right to pursue this technology domestically. Iranian officials emphasize that enrichment is a matter of national pride, scientific independence, and energy security, and they argue that requiring Iran to abandon enrichment would violate its NPT rights and sovereignty. They are not wrong. According to this treaty, we do not have a percentage that they must stop at. So, unfortunately, at that point, they're not wrong. They are not wrong at all. They have a right to enrich. Now, I want to read this because I want to give the international and U.S. perspective. Let's see if there's something we're missing. While Iran claims a legal right to enrich uranium, many international actors, particularly the United States and some European countries, view Iran's enrichment activities with suspicion. Critics argue that Iran's enrichment to high levels, up to 60% uranium-235, exceeds what is necessary for civilian purposes and could facilitate the production of weapons-grade uranium. The IAEA has monitored Iran's nuclear program since 2002 due to concerns about undeclared activities and potential military dimensions. And UN Security Council resolutions have repeatedly demanded that Iran suspend enrichment-related activities beyond peaceful needs. Okay, so we're seeing that they have so this is the U.S. perspective, and they say this is the international perspective. So according to them, 60% uranium enrichment, they're saying it's above anything, that is peaceful that they're aware of, and that's fine. You can state that. We don't have any percentage on that treaty that limits them. So at the end of the day, these are suspicions. They are demanding that they stop. They have a legal right to do so, according to this. They do. So if you're trying to go the legal route, we can't go that route because they're covered. Now, the IA, whatever it's called, let's take a look. I want to make sure that I'm getting this correct because I don't like to get things, the abbreviations wrong. The IAEA is the one that does the safeguards. They have not stated that the IAEA has found anything in violation because, once again, that treaty doesn't state that they can't do 60% enrichment. So, I think we're flawed to think that we're going in there for nuclear weapons. Although Trump might believe that, and Trump might be like, hey, you know what? I just don't want them to get it. I need to show force. That is always a possibility. I will never sit here and say what Trump's 100% intentions are. I know that Trump has been very different this his second term compared to his first term. He's been a little odd. I really don't know. He just doesn't seem like the same Trump. And typically when he says he's going to do things, he does it. When he pulled out of, I think it was Minnesota, he threatened to enact the Insurrection Act if things didn't stop, and then he still didn't do it. He pulled out instead. So he's been a little odd, in my opinion, as far as what's been going on. And I can't quite tell what it is, and I can't quite put my hand on it, but he just doesn't seem himself. And this whole war, and then, when Joe Kent resigned and stated that we're there for Israel, that could be a possibility too. I would actually say Israel is probably the better reasoning. But you know what? I am a little biased, guys. I'm a little biased because the nuclear weapons angle doesn't make sense to me because we're always crying about nuclear weapons or weapons of mass destruction in the Middle East. Last time we went there was on a goose chase. And guess why? It's because the Israelis gave us false intel. So we went over there like the jackasses that, we can be sometimes. And, we went in there with intel that we thought was credible, and it wound up happening that it wasn't. There were no weapons of mass destruction over there. Iran, they've been claiming, is going to have a nuclear weapon for like the past 20 to 25 years, and they have never had a nuclear weapon. So, and once again, you saw the NPT treaty. The NPT treaty clearly states that they have the legal right to be able to enrich. Now, yes, are there some things that might be questionable? Yeah, absolutely. You can always look at something and try to see if you can find a questionable scenario. That's not the issue here. The issue here is, did they violate the international law giving us the right to start this war based off of nuclear weapons? I would say they haven't. So, anyways, this really isn't, I'm not trying to hash about that too much, but I figured I would just kind of go over that a little bit so that you can understand. I also have some things written here, right? So the deal, the 2-week ceasefire was in regards to the U.S. and Iran trying to make a deal. They were unable to. Unfortunately, it didn't happen. So according to what is now going on, and I'm just trying to make sure. So Iran didn't do a deal. America is trying to break the international law and trying to force them to stop enriching uranium. Because remember, guys, this is breaking international law. And here's the thing. Laws only apply as long as they're being enforced and as long as they're being followed. If the United States, which is still considered the world superpower, decides to break international law, then we are being the biggest hypocrites of them all. We can't sit here and look at Russia and look at China and look at these other countries and tell them, you need to follow these international laws that we've set into place and that we've all agreed to, and then just completely ignore them when it benefits us. Because, well, one, because it makes us look like hypocrites, and two, that's also setting a precedent for China and Russia. That's setting a precedent because guess what? They have nuclear weapons. We're not the only big boys in town anymore. So, every time we do something like this, China and Russia get more fuel. So when they go to do something, guess what? They're going to look at us and be like, you can't talk. You need to shut up. You can't say anything. You were so quick to throw the rules away when it benefited you. So I'm sorry. If we're going to break the international law and we're going to have them and we're just going to go ahead and throw out the rules, then I'm sorry. We can't sit here and say anything when China decides to go for Taiwan. We can't say anything when Russia decides to completely take over Ukraine or completely obliterate them. We can't sit here and say anything. Because if we're going to ignore international law, then I don't see why they would be forced to abide by it. They play nice. We all play nice, the three big countries right now, China, Russia, and America, because we all have nuclear weapons, and we all understand that that is not in our best interest to go to war with each other. However, if China decides to take over Taiwan, guess what? That's not America itself. And there's not much we can do if they decide to ignore the rules because America's ignoring the rules right now. So, yeah, I'm sorry. I don't agree with Trump on this. He's really trying to push something that he shouldn't be. But okay, I mean, let's just say it is what it is. So Trump is now starting a blockade of the Straits of Hormuz. So I don't understand this either because, he's not going to stop Chinese ships from going through. Russia has their own oil, so I don't really know how much, Russia is getting from there, if they're even getting anything. But we do know China and Japan get their oil from there. And I know this is the thing that baffles me is I don't know what other ships he's talking about blockading because Japan's an ally. So I can't imagine we're going to sit here, look to an ally and be like, well, you're not going to be able to go through because we're shutting down the straits. We're blocking them. And China is a nuclear power nation that we're trying to kind of maintain good relationships with. So I don't see Trump sitting here saying, no, you're not going to go through. I have a feeling he's going to let the Chinese ships go through. So at what point, what are they doing with the blockade? And then Iran can just continue to attack the Gulf states, which are supposed to be our allies. So I'm sorry, but Trump is acting like our allies don't matter. And I know what people say. It's the Middle East. Who cares? There are still a lot of innocent people in the Middle East. There's still a lot of innocent people. There are still children. There are still women. And there are still men that are completely innocent that don't want this war, that don't want to be caught up in a war, that would like to stay out of it. And they're being dragged into it because America doesn't know how to stay out of certain affairs. So I'm sorry, I don't agree with what Trump's doing. And then while this is going on, Israel thinks that it's going to be kind of sneaky. I don't even know if it's really sneaky at this point. I just don't see a lot of people, they're not really reporting on the fact that Israel is fighting Lebanon as well. So Israel wants Lebanon. They're fighting. They just lost a lot of soldiers. I believe it was stated at 812. Is what they had lost, which is why Benjamin Netanyahu had to go down there. I'm assuming he was just going for morale purposes, but still, they lost. They're fighting and they're taking hits on both sides. And this is the crazy thing is that I don't know when Lebanon got thrown into this because I thought we were going to war with Iran, and yet somehow us going to war with Iran now means Israel can do what it wants, and it can just start attacking Lebanon because it just feels like it, because everybody's focused on Iran. When did this become okay for them to do whatever it is that they want and not care? Folks, I am not against the Israeli people, but the Israeli government they're fighting this war like we should be fighting all of our wars. They don't care what they have to do to get what they want, and they don't care what they have to do to win. And here's the thing. When it comes to your country, I'm sorry, but Israel is fighting it the way it should be fought. They're using American weaponry, they're using American ships, they're using American citizens, and they're using our American president to lead this. Because if boots go on the ground in Iran, Israel, if I am correct, is not going to be sending boots on the ground with us. It is going to be American citizens. And they're loving every minute of this because America for too long has been a puppet of Israel. We've just been doing what they tell us to do. We've been doing what they want us to do. And the issue is look, I don't even want Israel to be wiped out. What I do want is for them to understand their place. They're not a big enough country. They're not a strong enough country to be sitting here doing what they want to do, and especially to be bossing us around. So I want America, and I want the president, and I want the American leaders to start doing what the fuck they're supposed to be doing. They're supposed to be looking out for our best interests. Since when did we become a puppet? I don't understand. But you know what? I'm going to tone it back a little bit because this is my bias thought behind it. I honestly do believe that the American population is waking up to the threat of Israel and our government. But that being said, people need to understand this is the Israeli government that is doing this. So these people that are Zionists in our lobby, don't think for a second that I don't think that they're not part of the government in Israel. Because these people seem to be doing whatever it is that they want to do to help Israel when they don't even live there. Some of these Zionists live over here and they just visit Israel. So I'm sorry, you're not going to get me, you're not going to make me think that these people who live in America, who are enjoying what America has to offer, who is enjoying the safety from being in America, is not going to sit here and use America to sacrifice their lives on behalf of Israel to try to protect an Israel for a country they're not even living in, unless you're part of the military, unless you're part of intelligence. I don't believe for a second that these Zionists who pretend that they're just regular citizens, I don't believe that they're not part of the government agency. I believe our government should really be trying to focus on that and trying to be focusing on separating us from Israel. But once again, that's my bias because this seems to be a pattern. And Joe Kent resigning and why he said he resigned is a big deal, people. It's a big deal. So, but let's just back it up, because that's just my bias. Now, let's look at it as the situation continues. What is Trump's endgame with the blockade? I don't understand it. I don't understand what the blockade is going to do. Maybe I'm ignorant to it. That's fine. This is just an update on what's going on. So, and I had a feeling that these talks and these negotiations were not going to they weren't going to bear any fruit because I don't think America, was really serious about making a deal. I think they knew exactly what to do to keep this war going. I think they did a misfire just so that they can get other things in place and get other things ready. But I also think I don't believe the leadership in Iran really wanted a peace to begin with. I think the man leading Iran has lost everything due to America bombing the crap out of them. So, I don't think he wanted to have peace talks anyways. And at this point, Iran really has no choice but to go to get nuclear weapons. America's pushing them there. And it's sad to say because I'm not the person that's like, oh yeah, let's do conspiracy theory stuff. But I mean, think about it. The reason why we don't mess with South Korea, they got nukes. The reason why we don't mess with China directly, they got nukes. The reasons why we don't mess with, Russia, they got nukes. The reason why we're not bothering Pakistan anymore, Pakistan has nukes. The reason why we don't mess with India has nukes. It's not the fact that we probably couldn't beat them. It's the fact that whenever you have nukes, it's a deterrent. And America starts to look at you in a different light, and people start understanding, well, if they got nukes, I can't really mess with them to that extent because they have nukes. So what are we doing with Iran? We're essentially telling Iran, well, we're blaming you for making nukes or wanting to make nukes, even though you probably had no intention of making nukes. But now that we're essentially saying that we're going to attack you to oblivion, that this isn't going to be over, even if I have to drop boots on the ground, then you're probably going to get nukes. Because once you get nukes, America's going to back the F off. That's the sad reality. We're putting them in a position to do that. So according to Joe Kett, none of our intelligence agencies thought this war was a good idea. It was only Israel that was manipulating him. I don't know if Israel could 100% manipulate Trump or not, because Trump is not a stupid man, which is why I'm hoping that there are other things that I'm not aware of, because I really want to believe in Trump. Like everybody, I really want to believe in Trump. I really want to believe that he has our best intentions at heart. But at this point, I don't know. I don't know what his intentions are. I don't understand what his intentions are. So only time's going to tell. And I really do pray for him, because right now, I don't know what to do from here, because we don't even have an end goal in mind for this war with Iran. You know, he said no more endless wars. Well, I don't even think we have an end date. Negotiations took a crap. He probably figured this would be an easy war. And when he realized it wasn't going to be, now he's sitting there like, oh shit, I got midterms coming up. The price of oil is fluctuating up and down. I need to do what I can to keep that there. You know, he just has too much going on. How can we sit here and focus, you know, all our attentions on all these other things when you're in the middle of a war? So only time will tell, guys. This is just an update. This was supposed to be a quick update just to give you a little bit of information as to what Trump's doing, why we think he's doing it, and then go from there. You know, I have to say this again, I don't hate Israel, but the government of Israel is not our ally. And the minute they have a chance to betray us, they will. They will. They've done it before. You know, Trump released a traitor to Israel back in his first term. I was very livid because this man leaked secrets to Israel, and then Israel went ahead and gave those secrets to Russia. So do you think for a chance that I look at Israel as an ally? I do not. I don't look at them as an ally. I don't necessarily look at them as an enemy. You know, at least I would try not to. I don't think the Israeli people themselves are an enemy, but the Israeli government is definitely not our ally. And at this point, with how they're acting and how they want American citizens to die so that they don't have to, which I don't blame them for, that's just being smart. If I can send other people to their deaths and not my people, why not? Like I don't blame the government for trying to do that. I blame our government for being so stupid that we've become pawns of a country that we can literally annihilate overnight. Like they're of no significance to us whatsoever. And yet somehow they've done such a good job infiltrating us that they now pretty much dictate which way America's going to go. So I think people need to wake up. I think people need to really start paying attention to what's going on. And to be honest with you, I'm praying for Trump, because prayer can go a long way, but I don't know what Trump's been up to. I don't know what he's thinking, and only time's going to tell. So everyone, before I leave, and I also wanted to tell you, because our finances, our dollars are becoming, they are becoming in jeopardy. You know, everybody seems to think that, you know, because we're the world's reserve currency, that we can just do what we want. I honestly think America is at a point where this is very shaky times. And here's the reason, because we've been talking about the BRICS nations. Well, guess what? They finally created a currency. And I want to do this so you guys can see. Oh, wrong one. I want to do this so you can see the BRICS unit is a gold and currency-backed digital settlement instrument designed to facilitate cross-border trade among BRICS plus countries and reduce reliance on the U.S. dollar, aka not good for the value of our dollar if this really starts to take off. So guys, this is something that was created recently. We're going to have to, you know, keep track on it and see how, like, where it goes from here, because this is very dangerous. This is very dangerous. So this is a project. The project is, damn it, every time you click on something, there's something else that pops up. I'm sorry, guys. The project is overseen by the Unit Foundation and has been under development since at least 2022. with formal planning accelerated by geopolitical events such as sanctions on Russia, while major financial institutions like JP Morgan have recognized it as a serious de-dollarization initiative. Challenges remain regarding adoption, liquidity, and governance. In summary, the BRICS unit represents a strategic gold and currency-backed digital settlement instrument aimed at strengthening BRICS Plus economic integration and providing an alternative to the dollar-centric global financial system. So this is a threat. This is a threat. This isn't us making things up. This is a threat, people. And the BRICS nations have been gathering for years now, trying to figure out how to overthrow the American dollar, how to undermine the American power. So the BRICS unit, often referred to simply as the unit, is a proposed international settlement currency for the BRICS Plus bloc, which includes Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, and additional members such as Egypt, Ethiopia, Iran, Saudi Arabia, and UAE and Indonesia. Unlike a traditional fiat currency or cryptocurrency, the unit is a digital benchmark token backed by real assets, 40% by weight in gold and 60% in a basket QF BRICS Plus national currencies, including the Brazilian real, Russian ruble, Indian rupee, Chinese renminbi, I'm not sure how to pronounce that, and South African rand. This is a very scary time to be America. It's a very scary time, guys. This is not good. Not good. You know, a lot of people weren't worried about the BRICS nations because, you know, they really didn't think that they were going to figure anything out. The reason is because every country wants their currency to be the main currency used. So people just figured out we had plenty of time. The BRICS nations can never come to an agreement. Guess what? They created an entirely different thing called the unit, and now they're backing it by 40% gold. So like this is no longer not a threat. The BRICS nations are a threat. And we've been saying it for a while. If America doesn't start getting its act together, we're putting ourselves in jeopardy. And I am praying that Trump knows what he's doing, because those countries right there, this is not a joke. That's a lot of bigger countries. A lot of bigger countries. So I really hope that, you know, Trump has a way to really solidify the US dollar, because America is in danger in a lot of different ways. And I hope this was helpful. I wanted to make sure that I brought this up because I don't really see anybody really talking about the BRICS unit, that is out there. So, you know, maybe they're not talking about it because they don't want to hear it. Maybe they're not talking about it because they don't think it's a threat. But, you know, at this point, it is a threat. I'm sorry, guys. I'm wrestling with my dog with my left hand because she just can't help it. She has to fight with me right now, and I can't leave her unsupervised because she likes to tear up rugs. So if you see me shaking or making funny faces, it's because I'm talking to you guys while also messing with my dog. But no, I mean, like, this is a threat, and I wanted to show you because I don't see anyone covering it. I really don't. There's a few people that I watch, but I don't see anybody talking about the unit. I don't see anybody showing how that this is now a viable option, that this is now a secondary option for other countries to use. So this right here, this can hurt us a lot. And if this starts to take over and the American dollar starts to lose its foothold, guys, we're in for an economic collapse if that's the case. So anyways, you know, I just wanted to share that with you. This is obviously the Reaper, your favorite host. It's not a long episode. I wanted to just get to the point. There is some stuff going on with the Charlie Kirk case. When I know a little more, I'll go into it because I was watching and I was paying attention and I have been looking into it, but you know, there's nothing much more than what I can tell you. I know that right now Governor Cox has now come out, because now they're stating that the messages were on, I think it was iMessage, when he originally came out and stated that the messages that they got from Tyler Robinson were on Discord. But it just so happens that Discord came out and said, I'm sorry, we found the account that they were talking about, and it's an account that does not seem to be from the defendant. It doesn't seem to be from Tyler Robinson. It does appear to be made to seem like it, but it does not appear to be Tyler Robinson. So once Discord came out and pretty much said that that wasn't Tyler Robinson's account, well, guess what? They had to come out and change their story. And then the tranny dude that Tyler Robinson was supposedly saying, his family is coming out and saying the relationship that he has with the FBI seems to be very odd. It seems to be very weird. They didn't even really bring him in to question him really that much. The whole thing just seems very shady. It seems very odd. Some people believe that he's actually working for the FBI, not in the aspect of like a professional capacity. They just believe he's a mole or some sort of I forget the wording of it, but that he's a guinea pig for the FBI. Now, that has not come out to be the case. They're just stating that it's been very odd behavior from him, and even his family has noticed it. So I'm looking forward to seeing what the case is going to bring up. You know, if Tyler Robinson did it, he needs to go to jail, or he needs to have the death penalty. But once again, guys, I'm not in favor of killing a young man just to have him killed so that he can be framed for Charlie Kirk's murder. If he didn't do it, we need the real killer. I want to know why Trump, and this is another thing that's pissing me off about Trump, if Tyler Robinson is not the murderer, Charlie Kirk was supposedly a friend of yours. Where are you? What are you doing? You're the commander-in-chief. You are the one that is supposed to be leading the FBI. Yes, Kash Patel is there, but he answers to you. Where are you? Why are you not supervising this? This isn't making sense. This is why I say I don't trust Trump anymore. He's acting very odd. Like the Trump we knew in the first administration when he ran the first time would not have abandoned the people who had his back. He would not have. At least not from what I've seen. He would not have. This Trump now is like it's fair game to attack everybody, regardless of the effect that they played on me getting elected. Now, Charlie Kirk is killed. Charlie Kirk was killed for his ideas, and they're even trying to say Israel's behind that. I don't know if I believe that. I don't. What I do know is that this seems very suspicious. Tyler Robinson, all of the things that they're bringing up and that they're stating seem very suspicious. At this point, there's not enough evidence to really give me 100% certainty or beyond a shadow of a doubt that Tyler Robinson is the guy that killed him. I honestly, there's not enough evidence. I really think that Tyler Robinson might be being set up. And I'm not much of a conspiracy theorist. I really, I'm just saying based off of what they're presenting so far, it's hard for me to say that beyond a reasonable doubt that he's the man. Because there's just too much here. And I will continue to give you guys updates as it comes out. I just wanted to do this because it's important that I get you guys updates as soon as possible. Wednesdays are trying to be more of an emergency update. Fridays are going to be more for learning purposes, and we'll still try to have some updates, but we're trying to mainly do that for educational purposes. So those are going to be our political podcasts. We still got plenty to go. We got the second part of the amendments coming out after this Friday. So this Friday the 17th, we got the first part of the amendments, the branches of government, taxation, and then before that we have the football game. I believe it's the rematch with LJ, and then the Rumble exclusive, which will only be airing the match between me and Craven. It's the rematch. So I hope you guys enjoy it. I hope you enjoyed this update. Please, if you liked it, like, subscribe, share. And if you have any comments, let me know. Yeah, I try to be fair and I try to be unbiased, but I also try to point out my bias. And I will say I lean more towards we're sacrificial pawns of Israel for right now. there's not enough to really indicate that they're, doing any kind of weapons of mass destruction. We've heard this playbook before, so I'm hesitant to really do that. As far as the trade routes, that I don't know. I don't really see any evidence to 100% suggest that, but I'm open to it. Like I am open to it. We will see, guys. I hope you really enjoyed it. Love y'all. You have a wonderful day. God bless.